Why there aren't any more monsters on Earth? A long time ago, monsters had contaminated Earth, causing lots of people to suffer. Every day was bloody and dreadful for humans, because they had to try and fight off terrifying monsters like ogres, zombies, skeletons, trolls, and many more heart-stopping creatures. They roamed the land, slaughtering anything, even their own race. It was the dark ages for these poor refugees until somebody put a stop to all these monsters. He was called Demetrius. He was tall and muscular and very handsome, and this was how his legend began. One day, Demetrius was going to take a walk with his wife to the city because they needed food. Unfortunately, they ran into a horde of ogres. Demetrius was a soldier, but he didn't bring his sword with him, since he thought there were no monsters on Earth. He was wrong. This was reality, even though he thought not. The obnoxious creatures came charging at them, killing his wife with one mighty blow in the head. This was a gory sight. The floor was being colored red, and bits of brains were clumped together, lying there as if they were half-cooked noodles. Demetrius was enraged. With a punch in the face, the ogre fell in the puddle of blood and brain bits, lying unconscious. The ogres were shocked by Demetrius' strength and quickly vanished into the haze. Demetrius was heartbroken since his beloved died this very day, so he swore to God that he would have revenge on those abominable monsters. So he decided to see his friend, Playhin. Playhin was a 76-year-old priest that Demetrius knew, and he was excellent at spells. So Demetrius decided to go and see him so he could put a stop to the monsters. Demetrius took his best horse from the stable and started to set out to find Playhin. Playhin lived very far away since he moved houses to a safer and better place to learn about different enchantments which could only be used in that certain area. After a long journey south, he found his fellow priest and greeted him. "Hello, Playhin, long time no see." Playhin was surprised to see Demetrius at this time, so he decided to ask why he came to visit. Demetrius told him the whole story about him and his wife getting ambushed by ogres. He requested that he wanted Playhin to help put a stop to these strange and violent fiends by using his magic. "I'm afraid you have to get a sample of a hound's blood," said the priest. "Piece of cake, I can handle a mutt," replied Demetrius arrogantly. The priest also told him that he needed to travel to the underworld to retrieve a sample of his dog's blood. He also warned Demetrius that the dog was paranormal. Playhin had a portal that led to the underworld, so Demetrius stepped in and suddenly got magically teleported to the underworld. The underworld was dark and gloomy and looked very threatening to the naked eye. There was lava dripping from every corner of Demetrius' eye. Even he had to admit that he was scared. All of a sudden, deafening howls came from the direction he was facing. He decided that that was the way to the dog, so he ran until he wet his pants. The large beast had 3 enormous and furry heads that lunged forward like a massive tide. It had dark fur and mud stuck to its body. Coming to think of it, there were actually bits of flesh stuck to its claw. So the mud wasn't actually mud, it was blood. The gigantic beast dashed forward, nearly killing the poor Demetrius with its oversized fangs. Demetrius was brave, but couldn't bear to hold the panic in him this time, so he screamed his head off like a little baby, dropping his sword and running around, dodging the beast's furious claws, swiping at him like a hand with lots of sharp blades made from diamonds. Suddenly, Demetrius tripped and fell on the ground with a thud. It was such a coincidence that the beast was charging at him at the same time. Luckily, the hand stepped on the sword, which drew blood so quickly that it was spouting out like a fountain. The beast let out a horrible scream of pain and slowly fell to the floor, dying like a dying elephant. The whole floor shook, and the dog fell down into the lava, burning like a piece of paper. Demetrius was victorious. He quickly took his container out and filled it with blood, and then he went back to the portal. He found Platon and quickly told him to chant the spell. Platon was so shocked that Demetrius had survived and quickly took the blood and spent the rest of the day casting the spell. When all the people around the world heard that there were no more monsters, Demetrius turned into a famous man and lived a normal life like he had before. He became king and lived happily ever after, and that is why there are no more monsters on Earth.